In this world, witches hunt down their magic. Deep in the forest, the terrifying king of magic and the strongest witch are locked in deadly combat. But suddenly, a young boy joins the fray. His name is Ichi, and he is just a hunter. But he has the power to flip the magic world upside down in this magic hunting fantasy epic. Welcome to the world of Ichi the Witch, a brand new series from Weekly Shonen Jump. It just came out yesterday. Well, actually, it came out today at the time of this recording, but by the time you guys see this, it would have been yesterday that it got released. And this is from the team of Osamu Nishi and Shiro Usazaki. Osamu is probably best known for doing the manga series Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-kun, and Shiro is best known for doing the artwork for Act Age. So let's jump right in. So in Ichi the Witch, we start off with a giant moose in a field of flowers, and that's when we see our main character Ichi. He's hiding amongst the flowers, and he stabs the moose and kills it. And he brings it back to the village where they're going to barbecue it, and everybody is excited and happy, and they thank Ichi and they pay him. And so he's about to head back home when he sees some girls leaving in a carriage, and he goes and he stops them and says, "Hey, are you guys leaving today?" And they say yes, like, "We didn't know that you were going to come down from the mountain today. We're off to take the test." And the test is a test to become a witch, which I'll get more into how exactly witches work in this world a little bit later. But he gives them some dead rabbits and some jerky for their journey, and he's about to leave when one of the girls says, "Are you going to always live on that mountain? Everyone in the village adores you. How about you save going up to the mountain for when you hunt and live in the village?" And he just responds back, "Nah, I'll stay in the mountain. There's still things I want to do there." And then he leaves. And that's when we get a little bit about Ichi's backstory. It turns out that as a kid, when he was 6 years old, he was abandoned in the woods. He was only given a knife and a little bit of food. And at first he waited because he thought that they would come back for him. But when his food ran out and no one returned for him, he realized that he had been abandoned in the mountain. So he started doing everything that he could to survive. He was eating berries, he was drinking from the streams, he was trying to build shelter, but he just wasn't up to snuff, and he collapses. And that's when he realizes that they gave him the knife not so that he can hunt, but so that he can slit his own throat. And so he's actually prepared to do that when a wolf comes ready to eat him. And just as the wolf attacks on instinct, Ichi stabs it in the neck and kills it. He's like, "I'm surprised by how hard I've clung to life." And so that's when he decides that he's going to learn. He's going to change. He's going to gain gratitude for life. And he's going to learn how to fish. He's going to learn how to forage for edible plants. And eventually he became a great hunter. And we see him in this shack that he's built for himself. And he has a bunch of trophies and weapons that he's made. And he has a philosophy called death for death, which basically means that he won't kill anything unless it harms a human, unless it's something to eat. So earlier you saw him fishing. You might see like a squirrel or a bird or a raccoon or something hanging on his, maybe it's a ferret or a weasel. He has small animals hanging on his shack. You might think, well, those kind of animals aren't going to be attacking humans. That's because to him, if you're going to kill something to eat it, that's fine. But if you're going to kill something not to eat it, it's murder unless it's something that has gone after humans before. So the giant moose that we saw earlier, the reason he killed that moose was not only to eat it with the villagers, but also because that moose was causing havoc for the village. It was going around kicking a bunch of villagers and injuring them and hurting them. And so that moose was up for fair game. But that's Ichi's philosophy, death for death. I'm like, that's kind of a cool philosophy for a hunter. So there is this one giant creature that has fascinated Ichi. It's this mysterious creature out in the woods that every time Ichi sees it, it's just sleeping. He can tell that it's very powerful. He has no idea what it is. And he believes that it won't hesitate to kill humans. So Ichi's debating on going after it, but then he decides not to because he realizes that the creature hasn't done anything yet. In fact, he has not only not seen it attack any humans, but he's never seen it attack any other animals. And so if he were to go after it, it would go against his code. So he just basically has his eyes on this creature, and he's kind of waiting to see if he'll do anything. And as he leaves, that's when the creature wakes up and says, "Ha, finally here, huh, little gnats." And that's when we see the girls from earlier in their wagon, and we see a bunch of other wagons arriving. And they're all carrying people towards the city where they're going to take their witch test. And all the wagons stop. And that's because there is real life magic. And the girls get excited because they're like, if there's live magic, then that means that there's witches. So we see one of the witches. Her name is Discaris. She is confronting the giant creature. And that's when we get what witches and magic are like in this world. Basically, magic is alive. There's living magic called magics. And they first contacted humanity a long time ago. And it was just very random. Like all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a talking blob of water appeared in front of this woman. It says, if you drink every drop of this water, you'll acquire me and the water magic. This is my trial, and you must pass this trial. And if you pass it, I'll teach you the chant to control water. And that's how witches get their powers. So for example, there's a bonfire magic that tells the woman that you must hold me for 1 hour. There's an iceberg magic that tells a woman you must sleep beside me for a night. There's a breeze magic that tells a woman you must walk with me for 1,000 miles. And by passing those trials, they acquire the magic itself. I thought this was kind of an interesting take on magic and witches, where instead of just people born with the power or having to learn, the magic words to use magic, the magic itself is actually alive. It's actually sentient. And it doesn't necessarily choose who it wants to give magic to so much as it tells them, here's what you got to do. There's requirements to achieving my magic, and you have to complete the requirements. And if you do, then I'll teach you the words and I'll grant you the ability to wield me. I thought that was very fascinating. So yeah, witches in this world are women who have undergone the trials and completed it and gained power. And they are very respected in this world. So unlike some other series where witches are seen as like enemies or evil or anything like that, the witches in this world are very respected. They're seen as like top soldiers. They are granted a lot of reverence from the population. So witches have shown up here, and they've put up a barrier around the wagons to try to protect them as one of them goes to confront the giant monster. And the giant monster is named Uroro, and he's the king magic. It seems that he might have a past with Discaris in the sense that Discaris has constantly tried to beat him and take in his magic because Uroro has caused a lot of calamities. Uroro has attacked humans before, has killed humans before, has leveled mountains, drank rivers dry. He's taken countless lives. He refuses to allow any witches to acquire him. So he's a magic that's hated by humanity. And Uroro says, if you want to acquire me, then you gotta beat my trial. And my trial is that you have to stop my heart. Can you do that? So Discaris attacks him and is able to get a stab at his heart, but nothing happens. And that's when Uroro says, have you sensed it by now? Have you ever wondered how I survived for thousands of years without a single witch ever acquiring me? The truth is that no woman can scratch my heart. That's just how it was made. I'm pretty sure you can probably guess where this is going. But yeah, women cannot acquire Uroro because to acquire him, you got to pierce his heart. And you can't do that. Or at least women can't do that. He's about to kill Discaris when Ichi shows up with a tiny knife. And I like this panel where both Discaris and Uroro just kind of stare at him like, what the hell are you? Like, what are you doing here? And Ichi says, I'm a man. And Uroro's like, what? He's like, yeah, I said I'm a man. And that's when it clicks in Uroro's head, oh, this kid overheard what I just said, and he's a man. So I got to get rid of him. So Uroro goes to punch Ichi and instead gets his hand trapped in a snare that Ichi had set up beforehand. And Ichi tells him, if you try and pull out, they'll only bind you tighter. It's not easy to get out of. And Uroro tries to beg, like, hey, let's not be hasty, put the knife down. Why your eyes are all sparkly, don't get too close to my personal space. And Ichi decides, you just try to kill me, so death for death. And it stabs Uroro in the chest, and it breaks his heart, literally. Ichi has like this magical girl transformation where he all of a sudden finds himself wearing witch's clothes. He's wondering what the hell's going on. And that's when Discaris shows up with her sword pointed at him and says, okay, kid, don't move. And of course, Ichi's first response is to knock her sword away and jump back. And he's even able to crack her barrier. Basically, when he slashes at her, she puts up a barrier to protect herself, and he's able to crack it. So he has a lot of magical powers now. And she's like, I told you not to move. And Ichi's like, well, you looked like you wanted to kill me. What are you doing? And she explains to him, kid, you're in the literally worst possible situation. Don't move, don't talk, and don't even think about speaking any chants. And Ichi's like, chants? And then he realizes, he remembers a word that the Scarus uses when she was trying to stab Ororu. And he repeats the word. And all of a sudden, a huge calamity hits. Like, magic shoots out from him and destroys a nearby mount. And all the witches that are watching this are like freaking out. Because in this world, only women have an aptitude for magic. Only women can acquire and use magics. That's why they're called witches, not wizards or anything like that. It's well believed that men can't use magic. And then the story even says, like, let's say that there is a magic with special power, and that magic provides a trial that only a man could pass. And let's say that there's a man with the mind and body well trained enough to handle that magic and happen to pass the trial. Even then, on those super rare extreme cases, the chance of that man acquiring the magic would be a mere 0.001%. It's effectively impossible. Even if all that lined up, it would still take a miracle. And yet, Ichi was able to pull it off. Not only did he find a magic that his requirements only a man can pull off, not only did he have the aptitude to complete the trial, but also to absorb the magic within him. Even with all that said, to actually be able to say the magic word and actually use the magic itself. Like, it's one thing to absorb the magic, but then to actually wield it and use it is almost impossible. It's basically a miracle. And yet, Ichi was able to pull that off. And that's how the issue ends. And I will say that I like this a lot. I thought this was really good. I like the character of Ichi so far. I don't know, the idea of a shonen protagonist who's not like a bumbling moron, but someone who actually has survival skills. Like, this is a guy who lives in the mountains by himself. He spends his whole entire life just surviving off nothing, off the land. And he's a great hunter. The fact that he's able to defeat this magic calamity, not through like physical prowess, but basically by trapping it using a snare, I thought was very clever. I also like his whole death for death motto, and I hope that that continues throughout the rest of the series. The way the magic works, I thought was very cool, because, I mean, a lot of times, again, it's just there are people born with magic, and then you'll have someone who's not born with magic. You have to use some kind of phrases, or maybe you need like a magical item or something. There's always like different things with magic, but the fact that here the magic is alive and you have to complete a trial and then absorb the magic into your body and then repeat the words that the living magic gives you and able to use the magic. I don't know, to me that's very fascinating. The fact that there are witches here and the witches aren't seen as evil, but they're actually like something to look up to. And yeah, just the fact that we got a main character who's a dude who is able to become a witch, which is something that's never been done before. So there's a lot of fascinating things here. I'm very excited to see where it goes. The story is cool. The artwork is amazing. Like, I think the artwork is really good. And I've liked everything about this so far. I think this is a very good start to what looks to be a very promising new series. So we'll see how it goes. But that's Ichi the Witch. I would give it a recommend based off of the first chapter. I think it starts off very, very good. And it has a lot of promise. So we'll see how it goes. If you're curious to read it for yourself, I'll leave a link down in the description below, like always. There's Ichi the Witch. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I still want to thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next one is more to your liking. With that said, thank you once again, and I hope you guys and gals have a good one. Later.